Good morning, everybody. My name's Bill Howarth. I'm the CEO of the International Compliance Association. I know one or two of you know me already from previous programs that you've been on. I'm here today to give you an overview of the new qualification, the Postgraduate Diploma in Governance, Risk and Compliance, and really to give you all the information really that you need to make a decision about whether you want to take this particular program or not. I think the first thing I'd say, it's a very elite program. It's designed for very senior people, and it's likely to be a very popular program. Just for those of you who are actually new to the ICA, just a few little bits of information there about the organisation. It's been in existence for, I think, almost 11 years now. It's the leading organisation around the world in certificated education and qualifications in the field of compliance, AML, financial crime. All its qualifications are awarded in association with the University of Manchester. We have thousands of students all over the world, many face-to-face courses in lots of countries. Very much the benchmark qualification, certainly at diploma level and above, for all the regulators and government bodies around the world. And ostensibly, I think it's a very high quality and well-respected organisation. Just a little bit then about the University of Manchester Business School, because as I say, the qualifications awarded in association with them, we work very closely with them on the assessments and the examinations and the quality assurance. As many of you will know, it's a very high quality university. It's certainly the largest in the United Kingdom, and has very, very strong links, particularly in the business and finance areas, which is where we have the connection. And it's the business school component of the university that we link with. And as I say, we've been working with them for more than 10 years. The other partner in the United Kingdom that you should be aware of also is the British Bankers Association. The ICA is their organisation of choice in terms of partnership. So we partner with the BBA in terms of compliance and AML qualifications. Just again, a little bit there, you get different sets of rankings, but just to give you an indication there of where the University of Manchester as an organisation sits in terms of the rankings of the university. It's a very high quality, highly respected university, and therefore if you've got a qualification associated with them, then obviously that is a great degree of credibility aligned to that. Okay, I know that's not desperately clear, but if you want to have a look at this on the website, you'll see there. Broadly, that's just the qualification framework to show you where this new qualification sits. As many of you will be aware, there are different ranges and levels of qualification within the ICA University of Manchester framework. The first one then at the very lowest level, you can see their awareness certificates. Those are the short ones. The first qualifications, which people tend to get serious about compliance and AML about, is at the intermediate level, and there are advanced certificates, which normally take about 6 months. The benchmark professional qualification is the ICA diplomas. Those take about a year normally to complete. There are different areas and levels of diploma qualifications there. As you can see, you've got an international and UK version of AML and compliance and of financial crime prevention. Now, a lot of people, once they've done 2 of those diplomas, can move across to the University of Manchester itself and do a top-up qualification to a BSc as one of the possible routes for qualification. So that's one offload. That takes 2 years part-time directly with the university itself. Now, this new qualification is set at advanced level or expert level, as you can see there. It's a professional postgraduate diploma. It takes broadly a year of academic study, 9 to 12 months, depending upon when you ultimately have your assessment. And as I say, it's very much an elite qualification. It's designed basically for people who are very senior in the profession, which I'll indicate to you the type of criteria for enrolment on there, and you need to measure yourself against that. The other interesting thing to say is, and one thing that hasn't been put into the materials yet, was I'm working very closely with the University of Manchester, that when people have done the postgraduate diploma, this particular one, they can actually top that up by going to the university themselves and doing a project or thesis up to a master's program. So you could do an MPhil on the back of your covering this postgraduate diploma. So that would give the full overall framework. What I've tried to do over the years is to build this overall framework of qualifications for people at every level. So the most senior one, or senior qualification we have at the moment then, is this new one, this postgraduate diploma. But people will then, if they want to, as I say, be able to go on and do a top-up and do an MPhil qualification on the back of that. And obviously we'll be involved with the University of Manchester in providing supervisors and things of that nature. So that's just a little bit about where the qualification sits in the overall framework of things. If you're thinking about this qualification in terms of yourself, you should normally be in a senior position within the organisation. The topic area is governance, risk and compliance. It's not restricted to people in AML or compliance. There are a lot of people in the law, risk, fraud, or even other allied areas that might want to think about it. But they should have been in a senior position there for at least 3 years before they'd be eligible to apply for this course. The other alternative route through is if you've done an ICA diploma. Now the diploma is at degree level, as many of you will know. They carry 120 credits at degree level. If you've done one of those diplomas in AML, compliance or financial crime, you can then move up to this qualifications. The criteria is not quite as stringent, as you can see there. You've got to have been working in financial services for 5 years and actually have been actually now have actually started a senior level appointment. Now, if anybody's not sure whether they satisfy that criteria, they can just do me a short email, give you the information at the back, or even give me a call, and I'll go through it with you, because I don't want you to waste your time. Normally, at the beginning of the program, I'm going to ask you anyway, once you're on the program, I want your CV, a job description, and an organisational chart to see where you sit within the overall organisation, so that we can work together on mapping you against what are called the operational standards of competency and occupational standards of competency, and I'll talk a little bit more about them. So it's really just making sure that you're within that criteria, and what I'll do is, I say, I'll work with you, and if you wanted me to have a chat with you about it and whether you satisfy that, we can do that, and I'll give you the details of that at the end. Little bit about the course then. 9-month part-time program. Within that then, I say, there are 9 3-hour masterclasses, all in London at Holborn Bars. The way it starts, if you enroll on the program, I'll do that pre-assessment review with you, go through your CVs and things, making sure that you're all okay in terms of that, and then you will then start the masterclasses. Now, I'll do the very first one to outline the overall program, all the requirements relating to it. So the first one really is an orientation, which I'll then do before we get to the very specialist topics. Now, the important thing about this program is many of you are very senior. It's really important to have the opportunity to mix with other senior people from organisations. So on the days of each masterclasses, there's a networking lunch anyway. So whether the class is in the morning or the afternoon, there'll always be a networking lunch, and we've got a nice set of facilities to facilitate that at Holborn Bars itself. One of the interesting things you've got to do, there's quite a lot of materials to go through in relation to this. When you first come onto this program, one of the things we give you as background information is all the course manuals for all of the diploma programs that we have. Now that's very extensive. So you'll have the equivalent of these course manuals, some of you will be familiar with, that you've used on the diploma programs. All of those are available to you on the iPad, which we will give you as part of this program as background. The good thing about those, you can use them as desktops anyway, because they're updated on a regular basis, but then you'll have 3 major course manuals in compliance, anti-money laundering, financial crime prevention as background for some of the work, and I would keep them as desktops and update them and keep them as your desktops over the years as you're working within the range of areas that you're going to be working on. Now, for each of the individual masterclass sessions, what we will do about 3 weeks before each masterclass, we send you a reading list of some readings that you've got to complete. Then you come to the masterclass, have the 3-hour session then, and again followed by a networking lunch. Now, I'll talk about the assessment process of skills and knowledge. One of the interesting things about this program is the way that the program is assessed. You're not sitting down doing long examinations and assignments with this particular program. We actually are assessing your background, your knowledge and skills that you've accumulated in a lot of your previous jobs. The university calls it approved prior learning. So part of you giving me the CVs and all your job descriptions and things is so that I can map you against the competencies. And therefore, what that then does is I can then indicate whether somebody's competent or not from the job roles that they've done and the exercises that have been carried out throughout their working life. Now, there is an assessment process, but it's an oral one. So at the end of the program, what I'll be doing is having a 2 to 3 hour interview with you. It's usually on a one-to-one basis. And what I'll then do is we'll talk through the competencies, map you across to the standards, and at the end of the day, deem you either competent or not yet competent is the normal way that it works. It's a formula which is very, very attractive to senior people. There's no question about that. Mainly because there isn't the requirement for doing very long examinations and so on, and also because it's competent and not competent. And I think that is attractive to a large number of people. So on that pre-assessment review, as I say, for that exercise, I need that documentation. I'll work with you on a one-to-one basis at the beginning of the program, going through that, but that's the sort of information that I need. But I mean, I don't want you to get that together until you're sure that you've satisfied the criteria, and we can do that, by you sending in your application form, and then I'll perhaps give you a call and we'll chat it through. Okay, now what we're trying to produce from this program are people who are what we call certified professionals or practitioners, and those are the criteria that we've used in terms of what we want these people to be. Because at the end of this program, we're sending you out with a benchmark which says the ICA is benchmarking you as a senior certified professional. And so those are some of the criteria there that we use. We're looking for people who've got management and supervision responsibilities, that you've performed a range of functions within the governance, risk and compliance areas, that you've got you've carried out a high degree of individual responsibility, decision making and risk management over the years in your job roles. You work on complex and often unpredictable scenarios, and you've got the range of experience and competencies that somebody in this type of role actually has. The idea being is that what will then happen is we're going to be producing people who, what we're saying is, yes, you're a certified professional, and we're happy to verify that and use that as a benchmark, because we're going to be producing lists which are available to regulators of people who are deemed to be senior certified professionals going forward. We will be bringing in a new process of practicing certificates for people who've satisfied that criteria. Now, one of the other things that we often do is, so as you're on this program, what we want you to do is to build a portfolio of evidence of competencies. So if you've, for example, many of you within your jobs are drafting reports, you're in producing, board and management reports. You often do training guides, strategy documents, as you can see there, project plans, and build those up over a number of years. Don't worry if you haven't got a lot of those, because often people have moved, a lot of jobs and have to leave a lot of those documents behind. But all I'm saying is that helps when we're mapping you against the competencies. If you've got evidence of certain things that you've done over the years, I'll often come into the organisation and then you've got your laptop there, you can demonstrate and show me these things on the laptop. We don't take anything away because there's often difficulty of confidentiality with the organisations. But if you've got documents of that nature, it's always helpful in the mapping process. I think that's the point I wanted to make there. Now, you will be mapped against something called the National Occupational Standards of Competencies. Some of you may or may not know. These occupational standards of competencies were originally produced by a body called the Financial Services Skills Council, originally back in 2005-06, I think it was. The ICA were involved in the setting of those standards at the time, and they were all updated in 2011, so they're very current. I insisted when they were drafted that they were put into an international format, so many of you I know who've got international job roles can map it across in that way. Now, the nice thing about this is there are separate sets of competencies for people working in compliance, anti-money laundering, financial crime, risk areas. There's some legal areas in there as well. So we have a very wide range of competencies. And the good thing about that is what I will be doing on an individual basis, bearing in mind your background and job role, is taking a number of competencies out from each of those that apply to you and your background, so that we're actually testing you against the areas where you actually have your knowledge and skills and background. There are obviously some core skills that you expect of senior people: good communicators, good influencers, problem solving, decision making. But as I say, the good thing is that we have a whole range of these competencies. I'll show you some of those in a minute, just to give you familiarity. And if you go onto the ICA website, you can see a lot of these competencies anyway. Okay, so in terms of once you've completed this program and you've gone through that and you've had your oral assessment, what are you awarded, I think is the point here. First off, you're awarded the Postgraduate Diploma in Governance, Risk and Compliance. That's awarded by the ICA and the University of Manchester. You're also then, as I say, you are eligible immediately for fellowship of the ICA. So you've got the designation of FICA. And for the very first time, people will be able to use the term certified professional. And we will be awarding practicing certificates for people who are eligible to carry out that particular certification. So if you can successfully complete this program, you can see at the bottom there, that's the designation that you should be using on your name cards and your CVs and things. So it incorporates all of those three components: the academic side, the PG DIP, and then the fellowship certified professional that's awarded by the ICA. Can I just while you're on there, if you've got any quick questions, I forgot to mention this at the beginning, by all means type them into the situation at the bottom, and then I'll actually answer them all at the end, and we can go through any queries then that people have actually got. Okay, moving on from there, then those are the initial chosen masterclass titles there for the program. So the first session is the one I'll do, which is the introduction and overview to the program. I'll talk about mapping, I'll talk about assessment, I'll go through all the standards, I'll give you the comfort factor so that you know exactly what's required to do. I'll take you through the materials on the websites. I'm not entirely sure at this point whether or not in terms of the actual program itself, they will give you the iPad on the first day, or whether they'll send it through in advance. But I'll get that information to people later on. So just starting off then, so I'll do the overview of the program with all the information that you need to get started. And then first major one there, as you can see, is on the whole area of cybercrime. This is a massive problem for all organisations, and certainly senior management have massive problems with the overall issue of cybercrime. The individual who does that is a real specialist, and the other thing is you walk away and go, oh my God, there is a real fear factor in that one. Not that one wants to worry that, but it is a really interesting session, and will give an awful lot of food for thought. Now, most of these sessions here are either done by very senior university professors, regulators, people of the highest level who will come in, so they're all of the very top class. We've tried to pick a wide range of topic areas that come within that. But again, within all of the readings and the backgrounds and the manual, you'll have pretty much content on every possible area that you'll ever want to come across in that whole gambit of governance, risk and compliance. So as you can see there, we've got extensive sessions on risk management, building and managing and leading compliance and AML teams, or even other types of teams. A lot of the stuff there would be generic for that. Obviously, a big flavour at the moment is the whole issue of ethics and corporate governance. The role of the individual is quite important, and if you're carrying a CF10, CF11 function at the moment, then there's a terrific amount of responsibility, and you need to understand that in much fuller terms, and we'll look at that in some detail. Obviously, the role of the board of directors and senior management. We hear a lot, don't we, at the moment, about tone from the top, and how the whole compliance culture has to be driven from the board all the way down. But the question is, how do you actually change the culture of an organisation? And we'll be having some extensive sessions on that. We've got some regulators coming in from the US to tell us about the sanctions regime. Many of you will be working in organisations that have been the subject matter of sanctions, enforcement procedures, and getting the inside view from the regulator, I think, on that one will be very important. Similarly, the next area, massive issues around IT and compliance. You know, I do quite a lot of consultancy work with organisations, and I was in one organisation recently that had 117 different IT systems, many of which didn't talk together. So the rationalisation, the interface, and how you bring all of that together, you know, to have an effective compliance regime is quite an important area of work that we need to look at. And then finally, what I do as the last one there is I prepare everybody for the assessments there, the oral assessments. I go through the types of questions, I'll give you templates and things of that nature that we can look at, and go through the standards. So you're fully prepared in relation to that. The oral assessments are, you know, they're very interesting. You can learn an awful lot about somebody in 2 or 3 hours of an oral assessment. They're less stressful in one sense than doing written examinations. You don't have to do masses of research, and it's not memory tested. It's more talking about you, your background, your skills, your knowledge, to ensure that I'm comfortable that people have got that range of competencies to be classified as a senior professional. Now, those are the dates there. They're on the website, all of this stuff as well, but to be on there. As you can see, the first one there starts in June. In terms of your applications, you probably need to get your applications in by the 15th of June. Gentleman there, first question in says, is this program limited in numbers? I think the answer is yes, it is. I think we don't want very large numbers on these programs because they're very much masterclass and workshop based. I think we'll probably sort of close off the first cohort at 20 students. As I say, it's very much an elite program. It's not about a mass qualification, it's very much about personal attention and taking you through. It's almost, you know, having a sort of a personal advisor in relation to this overall program. So if you are interested in this, I'd get your applications in reasonably early if you possibly can, or as soon as you possibly can, to determine whether you're competent to enter into the program itself. Okay, course materials then. As I say, what we do is you'll be given your own personal mini iPad. It's not just for the program, it belongs to you once you're on the program, and it's still yours at the end of it, you don't have to return it. And on there will be an app with all the course manuals and materials on relating to this program for carrying it around. All those materials will also be on the website, but it's also quite handy for your travelling things, and you've got everything in one place there. And as I've indicated on there, you will actually have the actual course manuals for those 3 diploma programs there in compliance, AML, and financial crime. So even if you've done one of those, you've got the other areas. Now, those are very extensive manuals, as I've indicated, 500 pages, you know, and they're updated annually. You'll be given constant updates on those manuals. So that's a massive database of really high quality resource for you to carry with you, you know, at all time, and you'll have that on there. So I think that as indicated then, and then 3 weeks before each masterclass, you'll be given a mini reading list, which will relate to the content of the masterclass. I think you'll get real value out of those, you know, because of the dialogues then that you can enter into at the masterclasses itself. And then, at all times anyway, we'll give you a code that gets you into the ICA's libraries. If, for those of you who don't know the ICA, I'll give you a code at the end that will be able to get into the members area, and you can actually then have a good look round at all the, you know, the news services, the chat lines, you know, all the laws and regulations from all around the world. So you've actually at all times got an online library, I think, which is very important. So that's about the course content that we give you on the program. Now, in terms of assessment then, there are 2 angles on this. As we've said, you will be doing 7 major masterclass areas. The first and the last ones are the ones where I do an overview and prepare you for the assessment. So in terms of assessment, what you have to do, we'll give you a little template, and we want you to write up 4 of the masterclasses. These are not extensive pieces of work. We're really talking 2 or 3 pages only of the key components that come out of the masterclass and how you feel that could impact on your organisation. These are not graded. You have to do, of course, you've got to submit them and they have to be satisfactory. But I mean, if you just follow the guidelines on them, there shouldn't be an issue. So you produce 4 of these, but you submit them all at the end. But you'll be doing them as you're going along. There's no reason why you shouldn't do all of them, to be honest with you, and put them on your own personal record on file on the learning platform that we have, and just hold them there. And then when it comes to the oral assessment at the end, I can check that there's 4 on there and that they're all of the appropriate level. So it's a summary really of the masterclasses. You're probably better doing them, you know, relatively soon after the masterclass while it's all fresh in your mind. And I think the view then is, again, if you've got a range of those, and what we'll ultimately be doing is we'll pull them all together at the end of the year and give everybody a summary of all of the 7 masterclasses for, again, just for you to hold for your own personal benefit there. So you produce 4 of these mini summaries at the end of the program, and then once the 9 masterclasses are finished, what we do is we set an oral interview with you at convenience. So the secretaries will get in contact, and we need really a half-day session with you to ensure, and I say it's 2 or 3 hours. It's usually 1-to-1, or if there's a problem, I'll probably get somebody else to support myself doing it with you. But they're always usually very senior people who've been in the area for a long time, who are familiar with this whole area of competencies. And as I say, we grade it at the end. You're told immediately after the oral interview whether you're competent or not yet competent. And as I say, if you followed the program in the way that you should have done, there shouldn't be any problems here in terms of whether people are deemed to be competent or not. So that's the assessment process. And as I say, it tends to be, I think, because if you're very busy professionals, and almost all of you are, in terms of the type of jobs and that, the good aspect of this is the way the program is structured to really support you in terms of it, and it takes the stress out also in terms of that. And also, I think the other important thing from your perspective, it's giving you a very high level of qualification, which will be able to demonstrate to your junior staff about the level of you as an individual. And I think that's a really good benchmarking exercise. Another question there, will these slides be available? Yeah, what we'll do is everybody who's been here, we'll send you a copy of the slides if needs be, and we'll put them online for people who want to have a good look at them. Now, a standards template then, again, you can see these on the website. I've just taken one off there, the ones there on compliance. We've used those. Now, there's about 20 of these, and what we do with this is we'll work with you and go through all the areas of competency according to your background. So if you're in compliance or AML or financial crime or risk, there'll be different competencies. And what we'll pick out, and what I normally do is say, pick out 6 competencies out of a range of maybe 20, and then those are the ones that we'll focus on. I like to take them out of different groups, not all within the same group. So you might say, well, I'll pick one of those there. In other words, just looking at that one, if you look at competency number 3, assess and mitigate the compliance risks relevant, or identify the laws and regulations. Well, most people in a senior role will have done a risk assessment. So we might then say, okay, well, take number 3. Let's have a look at a risk assessment. How did you follow up that risk assessment to mitigate those risks? What actual things did you do? Okay. And then what I'll then do is, in fact, we'll do a personal set of competencies and map you across. Everybody, however, no matter whether you did compliance, AML, financial crime, or any of those, the qualification is the same. It's the Postgraduate Diploma in Governance, Risk and Compliance to cover that whole area. The question just in there, is this a level 6 qualification? No, it's a level 7 because it's postgraduate. The normal diplomas are level 6. For those that are not familiar, 9 is a PhD, 8 is a master's program, 7 is a postgraduate diploma, 6 is a graduate diploma. So people who already have ICA qualifications in compliance, AML, financial crime, all have level 6 qualifications. Postgraduate diploma, which is what this one is level 7. Okay, now I won't go through these in any great detail there. What we've got here is, as I said, again, if you go onto the ICA website, you can have a look at the compliance, the AML, the financial crime ones. You can see all of those standards that are on there. And as I say, we'll work with you on an individual basis to pick out those for the purpose of assessment at the end. Okay, a few more there, just taking you through. As I say, have a good look at these in your own time, and then we'll take it on from that. Okay, so where we are, let me just pull that together again now in terms of, you've got more of a familiarity of the nature, the level, the quality of the program. It very much is, as I say, an elite qualification, this. It's not going to be one that, in fact, is going to be held in large numbers of centres. It's going to be very much, for the senior people on the program. It will be popular, I know that already. And so I think, though, it's one that you need to think about very carefully. I think it is one that clearly will enhance your careers. There's no doubt about that. Many of you will know the whole issue of certificated education is on the agenda of the regulators and the bodies at the moment. I know it's very high on the agenda with the British Bankers Association, who are our partners here in the United Kingdom. And the whole area of qualification and certification for job roles. Many countries, as you know, it's compulsory to have a qualification in compliance, AML, if you're actually in that particular role. I wouldn't be surprised if that gets brought in here in a compulsory way over the next period of time. So that's something to bear in the back of your mind in terms of preparing for your careers. Now, this is the highest level of qualification that you can get in this area in terms of programs of its particular type. Of course, you can go on and do a master's degree. Some of you may well do, as I've indicated earlier, in terms of if you wanted to go on. The nice thing about this whole area, you are specialists, and the type of areas you work in do lend itself for you to do an extended project on a major topic that you're in, which could then be published and so on. So you get real values out of that. But the important thing is, in the framework of qualifications all the way through, this is the currently the top tier of that, with an option to go on and do the master's program, I think, after that, if that's what you want to do. So that really is an overview of the things. If you want to apply for the program, as I say, if you can just go to the ICA website there, you'll see the course brochure. Very nice. I'm sure many of you have seen it already. The black brochure, you can download and have a look at that, as is the application form and the course dates. As I say, about the 15th of June would be the latest you could apply, and again, assuming that that the course numbers have not been filled by then. If you want more information, email there. The general information there, the number there is. If you want to have a general chat, and I'm sorry I haven't put it on there, let me give you my own mobile, because I'm always available for a chat. So it's Bill Howard, and it's 07855 311 638. 07855 311 638. So if you actually want to have a chat and not sure whether you're qualified or not, give me a call on that and I'll have a chat with you and take you through it from that point of view. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with the ICA and the ICA website, if you go to the normal ICA website, which you've gone in there, you've got the website number there, in-comp.org. If you go into that website, the top right-hand corner, you'll see there username and password. Now, what I'm going to give you now is a password and username, which will get you into the member site so you can have a good look round at all the facilities, as I've said, the news services, the laws, the information, everything that we have on there, the chat lines and so on and so forth. Have a good look round that. So the username and password are the same. It's not case sensitive, and it's login, Login 44, and the number's 44. I'm sorry again, I should have put that up, I do apologise. So it's login, Login 44, and the same for the password. So username and password, Login 44, for both of those. You'll get into then to the members website, you can have a good look round, and then in fact, you get a feel for the ICA if it's not an organisation that you've been involved with previously. Okay, now I'm just looking at the questions. I don't see if we've got them. I think I've not got any more questions in there at the moment. I don't think, have I? Oh yes, I've got them. Sorry, yeah, a couple of questions coming in. Cost of the programme, it is expensive. It's £4,500. The reality is that's Ostensibly, it's an elite qualification. There's a lot of resource going in there in relation to it, but it's a very important career decision that you may need to, you've got to make in relation to it. The point I would make, for those of you, if you're paying yourself and not your organisation, there is in fact a scheme whereby you can pay on, you know, periodically over a period of time on the programme. Said there, questioning, if you've already got a tablet, will you be able to access the material on that? No problem, because what we will do is the learning platform which hosts all of this, you'll be able to go through a normal website. But it's just that we'll put this one on a special app, and it just makes it easy and convenient to have everything there carrying around. So if you've already got a tablet, no problem, but you've still got a separate mini iPad for yourself anyway. It's just that most people like that. We use the iPads in our programs in Singapore, and they're very popular with the students. They like them in terms of the facilities and the ease of usage for the program itself. Okay, I think I've not got any more questions on the list there, but as I say, I think the important thing is either email me or give me a call. Happy to have a chat with you on this. There are a lot of people interested in the program. As I say, it will only run once a year, to be honest with you, just because of the nature of the program and the amount of organisation and things that go with it. If I was in your shoes, I'd get an application in early, just to, you know, and if you had then made an offer, then you can make your mind up about it. Don't leave it to the last minute, just in case unfortunately there aren't any places available. But I say, I do look forward to having a chat with you. I'm going to be the personal tutor on this program, supervise it. That's how important I think the program is. In terms of, really, we talk about, don't we, tone from the top, and it's really the same here. If I want you people to, in fact, have the best experience you possibly can on the program, with a view to driving these series of qualifications and training and education through the organisation. It's been my mandate over the last 10 years, the professionalisation of the compliance and AML industry. Trying to get people to the highest professional level is an important part of the job that I do. And that's the significance of this particular program. Okay, thanks very much indeed. Look forward to speaking to some of you in the near future. Hope this has been of some use to you. Thanks a lot.